This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at farming on the Emerald Coast. But before that, this video is brought to you by Alan McCone and Farm Inc. Thank you for being farm barons. So the farming on the Emerald Coast map can be found over at Nexus Mods. There will be a link to that down in the description below. This map is a 4X map, and this map is hosted over at Nexus Mods, which means it is not hosted at the Giants Mod Hub, so this is a PC-only map. Once you have downloaded the map, go to your Downloads folder and right-click on the resulting download and click Extract All. Then go ahead and click Extract, and what you're going to get is you're then going to get a resulting folder that is going to have the same name as the zip file that you've downloaded, and within there, you're going to want to copy these three files: the mod pack, Emerald Coast, the map itself, and a custom Emerald Coast Critters mod into your mod folder. Now, I'm only going to read a brief bit of the description, but I do encourage you to check out the entirety of the description. I'm going to go ahead and actually host the full description on my Google Drive because the description is buried within the map file. And I just want to make sure everyone gets a chance to read this because it really does go into a lot of detail, giving you kind of a background story that you can run with, which is to why you're starting with a pickup truck with Virginia license plates in Florida, and also explains in great detail all of the features of this map. So if you're not going to be able to stand the duration of my video, at least download the description and take a few moments to read through it. It's going to get you going on this map, and you're going to be able to make the full use of this map because this map has a lot of really cool little hidden features that are really going to enhance, I think, everyone's enjoyment. Now on with a little bit of the description. Deep in the southeastern United States lies the Emerald Coast, in the northwestern panhandle of Florida, just north of the beautiful white sand beaches and condos. However, there is rich farmland. Now you can journey to this area and enjoy the farming experience for yourself. In this region, forestry is just as big business as arable farming. Therefore, a large state-owned forest dominates the northwestern hills of this map. To the east of the forest area is a large tract of land which the developer is anxious to sell off. There are no zoning restrictions, so you can do whatever you want. South of this area is a community of Jay, Florida, located along Highway 4. South of this highway is abundant farmland, most excellent in condition. In total, there are 190 viable tracts of land on this map, including many in a large forest. Now, this map includes custom trains. The trains are not drivable. They are 100% decorative, and they do go up and down the western side of the map, kind of on a pre-planned schedule. This map also includes a floodplain. If it rains, and if it rains a lot, a big portion of this map will flood. Now, it won't damage your crops. It won't cause any irreparable issues with respect to playing the map, but just note that if you do get a lot of rain, you're going to find a lot of standing water kind of in the whole southern half of the map. Now, as the rain stops, that water plane will slowly go away and the land will dry back out. But that is just something to note. This map also features custom corn textures as well as custom lighting. This map includes multi-terrain angle, and the majority of the map is buyable. All of the starting farms are built out exactly how you're going to see them here in New Farmer Mode, but you can, if you wish, buy the land and then sell any or all of the buildings. It's really up to you. Basically, the premise is when you buy a farm, it's not going to be just a barren piece of land. You're going to buy it from someone, most likely. Therefore, buildings are going to exist. Now, up to you as the new owner, if you wish to continue with that layout, or if you want to bring in a crew, knock down some buildings, and put something else up new. This map has 23 production points scattered around the map. In New Farm Mode, you start with some equipment gifted to you by a local John Deere dealer, some money, and best wishes of the local community to make your go of it. In Hard Mode, you start with nothing other than your old pickup truck. There are many areas in town that are going to allow you to buy bulk materials. For example, bulk lime, fertilizer, and seed can be bought at Crop Production Services. Agrichem, located down by the train tracks, will also sell you liquid fertilizer and herbicide and such. Anhydrous ammonia is built into the map, as well as compost and propane. There are 2 fuel stations on the map, and the prices listed on the signage and on the pumps is the price you are going to pay. And as of the release of this map, that price is very, very close, if not identical, to the actual price of fuel down in that area. The vehicle dealer, as well as several sell points, also have open and closing business hours. They often are going to be opening at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. and are going to be closing at either 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. daily. So be very careful with respect to when you are buying machinery or when you're planning to sell grain. This map also includes custom productions, a pre-compost grinder, which is going to accept various digestible or various organic material and convert that to a fill type called pre-compost. You're then expected to take this pre-compost to special compost bunkers that have been set up on the map to compact, just like silage, blanket, let it cook for a little bit, and then you're going to have yourself some compost. You can spread the compost out on the field if you want, but you know what? That is actually black gold here on the Emerald Coast, and you're going to be able to sell it for pretty big money. Now, just one little bit more before we load on into the map. This map is highly detailed, and you may suffer frame rate issues if you are playing on lower tiered systems. So just be ready if you may have to adjust your graphic settings a little bit. As a frame of reference, I'm recording this system using a NVIDIA GTX 3080. I am recording and playing at 1440p. Let's go ahead and load on in. We are going to use the mods we typically use when we take a look at maps that are additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. In addition, we have the custom critters mod that is included with the Emerald Coast download. We have farming on the Emerald Coast map itself, as well as the Emerald Coast mod pack. Now, if you do not include the Emerald Coast mod pack, you are going to find a substantial number of buildings are missing from your map. If you've loaded up and it does not look exactly how you see it in this video, it's because you have excluded the mod pack and things are just not going to work as expected. You can elect to exclude the critters mod. Some people don't like the critters mod. Other people don't have a problem with it. If you don't like to use the critters mod, you can uncheck that and exclude it. You will not have any issues with actual gameplay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the log while the map loads on in. We'll tell you, if you load this map up in any play mode, you will find the farms built out exactly how you see them here in new farmer mode. That is because CCS 101 believes that when you buy a farm, it's already going to be established. There's going to be buildings there. You're buying it from someone else, most likely. As such, you can delete every building on the farm and place every building back down. So you don't have to worry about being stuck with anything. If you want to completely wipe the slate, well, you can do that if you want. Now, in new farmer mode, you do not own any machinery, but you do have some machinery at a contractor yard. In the alternate play modes, you do not own any land, nor do you own any machinery. You may have seen a couple warnings and errors pop up there earlier. That is okay. Those are simply saying that the shapes file and a couple other things are larger than what would work on console. Since this map is not intended for console release, then that's not really that big of a deal. Now we will load in for the very first time. We're going to come here to the southeast quadrant of the map between fields 18 and 19. And we are still just about 1.7 miles out of Jay, Florida. Right behind us, we have our trusty pickup truck that has brought us all the way down from Florida. And then we have a abandoned barn. And within this abandoned barn, we're going to find one of the 25 custom toy collectibles. That is going to be this John Deere 4400 tractor. And that is going to be the only teaser I'm going to give you with respect to where the collectibles are. Remember, there are 20 collectibles from pulp by the rune in the game cartridges. They're going to net you $1 million. There are 25 custom toy collectibles that are going to net you another $1 million. And then somewhere on the map, there is a soul golden nugget, the golden ticket, if you will, that is going to net you yet another $1 million. So if you collect them all, $3 million is going to be in your bank account. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. And one of the first things you're going to notice is probably 2/3, maybe even 3/4 of the map is completely agriculture. And that is going to be the entirety of the area south of J, Florida. And on here, there are, I believe, 5 pre-placed farms. We're going to take a look at the various pre-placed farms in a little bit. But you can see we've got rectangular fields, square fields, fairly easy for AI. But I will give you a little bit of a hint. Pay attention because some of the gaps between these fields are fairly narrow. And if you are playing with large machinery, AI could, let's say, jump between fields 39 and 36 when it is doing certain operations. So pay attention. Maybe do some headlands around the fields manually before you go and release the AI off to do their thing. This map does have all the standard crop types available to us in Farm Sim 22. And if we go ahead and take a look at our land screen, you will see that we start out by owning no land whatsoever. So in all play modes, we own no farmland. Now in new farmer mode, which is how we have started here, we do have the ability to make use of some contractor machinery that is up here in the town. In addition, we will find scattered around the map certain pieces of machinery at the vehicle dealer, behind the vehicle dealer, and over at the U-Haul facility that we can also make use of. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. Farmland lease screen is going to show us all of the viable farms on the map, how large those farmlands are, and then basically if those farmlands include any fields, which fields are included, and how much is that farmland going to cost us. As you can see, there is a fair bit of farmlands that do not include fields. And there are several rather small plots of farmland. Those are going to be rental properties. And when we get around to our drive around, I'm going to explain what rental properties entail. I do think this is the first time we have seen this type of treatment with respect to viable farmland. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at our field calculator screen, this is going to show us the actual sizes of each specific field. And then we can go back to a farmland lease screen and cross-reference it with the specific farmlands that these fields are connected to, and then get a good idea of how much this farmland is going to cost us. Let's take a look at our precision farming soil map. The big slice through the middle of the map, we have loam. To the south, we have sandy loam, and that is basically the different soil types that you're going to find here on Farming of the Emerald Coast. Taking a look at our crop counter, we do have quite a custom crop counter available on this map, and given the southern nature of the kind of northwestern panhandle of Florida, you're going to find that pretty much any time throughout the year, you're going to have something that you can harvest and something that you're going to be able to plant. So this is going to be prime agricultural land to really keep you busy if you're playing with or without the crop calendar. Taking a look at our prices screen, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that are available to us in Farm Sim 22. We also have the ability to sell our eggs, wool, and milk, and our silage, hay, straw, and grass. Looking through our production items, all of our standard production items can also be sold here on the map, which is always a good thing to see. Then something else, we do have the ability to buy bulk lime. And we also have a stone crusher. And then we have some custom fill types in dry maize, dry soybean. We have propane included on the map. And then we have compost. and we can sell bagged compost. We have anhydrous on the map, so we can fertilize with anhydrous. And then we also have pre-compost. Now, the pre-compost does not have a sell point because it is intended to be taken directly over to a fermenting bunker to then be converted into compost. In addition, if you are playing with the Platinum expansion items, you will be able to sell those Platinum expansion production items as well here on the map. Now, one thing to take note of, if you are playing with pumps and hoses, you will not have a place to sell your separated manure. We also have bottled milk available on the map. Taking a look at our starting fleet. Now, other than the pickup truck, which has a fair bit of hours on it and needs a wee little bit of maintenance. I mean, after all, it did drive all the way down from Virginia, after all. The rest of this stuff is brand new. It is all owned. It is well maintained, and it is all going to be available up at the contractor yard. We do not have any animals at the start. We do have contracts available, and that's a good thing because that's how we are going to intend to earn our money going forward in order to be able to buy some of the pre-placed farms. We do not have any productions owned at the start. This map does include 23 total production items built in. And as I said, there are 46 collectibles on the map. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. Remember, most of this stuff is up at the contractor yard. We've got a John Deere 4755 medium tractor and a 7810 medium tractor. We've got the X9 1100 harvester. That is going to be working with the HD45X grain header, as well as the C16F corn header. We've got a cotton harvester in the CP690 from John Deere. We have our 1986 pickup truck. We have the Demco 2200 dual auger grain cart. We have the McCormick cotton tag trailer that is to collect the round bales coming out of the cotton harvester. Then we have the Nardi N6045 header trailer. And then we have the John Deere 900 kilogram front weight. As far as mods and DLCs, we do have some custom items built into the map. We can buy bagged compost from the shop. We also are going to find a 1958 rusty Chevy Apache pickup truck. We're going to show you where that kind of maybe can be found later on in the map tour. And then we have our 1986 pickup truck, and it is here as a mod because it does have custom license plates. Now, before we go and tab up, or we could, I guess, go ahead and tab up into the contractor building, there really isn't much of a farm tour here because, well, we just have our contracting building with our machinery placed up here in town. We do have a maintenance trigger. And we do have a sleep trigger over here at a door. Right there. And then what contractor building would not have itself a little bit of a kitchenette area? And we've got our break room right here. Now, let me go ahead and show you where the various viable farms are located on the map. Take a look at our lands area. We have a viable farm up here at Farmland ID 162. This is an old abandoned farm. It is pre-built. Once you buy the land, all of the buildings on this farm, you can buy for $56,600. All of the buildings on this farm can be used, and they can also be sold. So if you want to, you can buy this farmland for fairly cheap, and then kind of make that as your basis of operations. Delete the buildings out and put other stuff down yourself. Now, something else that we are going to find throughout this map is the farmland, the farm house, I was meaning to say. The farmhouse is separate from the farm. So the farmhouse for Farmland 162 is 164. And we can choose to buy this house, or we can choose not to buy this house. So if we buy this house, let me go ahead and zoom in so I can pick that. $10,000. And we're going to see this farmhouse when we get up here to take a look at this during our drive around. But we could sell this if we wanted to, or we could just make it our farmhouse. In addition, you're going to find along the residential streets some buyable houses. And some of these houses can be bought to use as farmhouses, and other houses can be purchased as rental properties. And I'm going to show you how you know which is which also a little bit later. Now, just kind of to the south of this old rundown farm, we have a horse farm that can be down here, Farmland 149, that can be bought for $1.1 million. Farmland ID 3 is going to be one of the large pre-built farms that can be bought for $1.2 million. Just north of Farmland 3, we have Farmland 4. That's going to be buyable for $1.8 million. That is a large cow pasture. And again, that is separate from the farm that is right across the street from it. We have a farmhouse that is logically tied to farmhouse or Farm 3 here located in Farmland ID 1. We have Farmland ID 6, which is another large pre-placed farm on the map. It can be bought for $872,000. We have the farmhouse that would typically be associated with that particular farm here in Farmland ID 64. We have a pig farm that can be located right here at Farmland ID 74. I can bought for $66,000. And then the pig area itself, which is right beside it, Farmland ID 73. I'm going to go ahead and buy this. This is the compost factory. This is what he's going to be making the pre-compost. That can be bought for $158,000. Coming across the map, Farmland ID 131. This is where we're going to take our pre-compost and make it into compost. That can be bought for $102,000. Farmland ID 35 is where we're going to find 3 chicken coops. So that can be bought for $79,000. And then the farmhouse that is going to be typically associated with that chicken area. It's going to be Farmland ID 95. It's going to be able to be bought for $27,000. Over here on the western edge of the town, the southwestern edge of the town, we have a couple buildable areas that can be bought. We're going to take a look at those here a little bit. We have a biogas plant that can be bought for $1.1 million. Farmland ID 122. Right beside that, we have a biomass heating plant that can be bought for $64,000. Coming up the western side of the map, we have our grain dryer. That is a production item that can be bought for $135,000. Right behind the grain dryer, we have a very, very small kind of arable farm location. It really just includes 2 grain bins. One grain bin has been converted into a farmhouse. The other grain bin is completely usable. That can be bought for $250,000. We have Farmland ID 136, which is an arable farm pre-placed on the map. That can be bought for $1.2 million. And that should complete the roundup of all of the buyable pre-placed farms that are here available. You see up here all of the farm plots or all of the farmland IDs that are available up in kind of the wilderness area or the unzoned area here in the north. Now, typically, we would go ahead and do a little bit of a farm tour, but that's not going to happen. So let's take an aerial approach and get a little bit of altitude. And we are now kind of overlooking Jay, Florida, or at least a portion of Jay, Florida. Right in front of us is the John Deere dealership here in town. Behind that, we have a grain sell point, several houses, the large forest off in the distance, and a portion of that forest has been burnt and kind of done as a forestry management type of a thing. So we continue to look across the northern edge of the map. We can see the wilderness area that we can build out into whatever we want. This large building down below is a pallet warehouse. If you wish to store pallets, you can unload them manually into that pallet warehouse and stash them away. Now, the vast majority of the map is fairly flat. But here, kind of J and north is when we start to kind of get into the air quotes hilly area, if you will. Looking off in the distance, you can see a grain sell point as well as 2 of the pre-built farms and 2 of the large cow pastures. Way off in the distance, we can see the pre-built arable farm. It's kind of barely visible. So we've got our vehicle shop, which we're going to come back to. We have the rest of town, some production points. You're also going to find various areas kind of scattered around the map where we can buy and put additional production down. One of those plots is located right here. We have another of those plots right here and another plot over here. If you wanted to, right, you could buy this. You could then clear it of debris and you'd have yourself another buildable area here in town. Here we have 3 greenhouses. That are greenhouses that we can buy. And let's go ahead and talk about the production items that are built into the map. We have 3 fermenting silos. They are available over at the 2 large pre-placed farms. We have our compost master. We have a carpentry shop, a bakery, a spinnery, 3 large greenhouses, which we just took a look at. We have a milk bottler. We have a dairy, BGA, grain mill, oil mill, grape processing area. We have a sugar mill, compost bagging facility. We've got the BGA. We've got the power plant. We have a grain dryer that is going to dry corn and soybeans. We have 2 small greenhouses and then also a sawmill. So we are now coming down the western edge of the map. And here we have one of those arable farms that is pre-placed. And on all of these farms, you can delete everything. There's not a single building on any of these farms that you are not going to be able to remove. And if we take a look at build mode, you're going to find that we have an incredibly list of buildings that are pre-placed. In fact, are available for placement, I should say. In fact, every building on every farm can be sold as well as put down however you should so wish. Our silos, we've got custom silos. Got some containers, gas tanks and such, some scales, various farmhouses. All of these farmhouses also can be entered into. We do have custom production that we can put down. That is also available. We have custom production sell points we can put down. We have our greenhouses that we can place. Put down some solar panels. Fairly standard decorative items. And then as far as our ground textures, we've got a large array of paintable ground textures. We have several base game trees that are available. And then several plants and other decorative items that we can also put down on the map. So here we have the grain dryer that I mentioned. The grain dryer is going to accept propane as well as grain. And then behind it, we have that small, air quote, arable farm, which includes a farmhouse that has been set up as a grain silo, and then the grain silo itself. or should I say a grain silo that's been set up as a farmhouse. That is probably more appropriate. Coming down here to the southwestern corner of the map, we do have the biogas plant. And if you wish, you can buy the biogas plant and sell the entirety of the biogas plant, including the buildings. So if you do want to put down your own custom BGA, you can do so. Something to note down at the BGA is that in keeping with kind of the trend, there is a M8 Kubota down here, as well as a trailer. Then we're going to find in our other shed a Volvo loader from the Platinum expansion and a John Deere forage harvester. We have custom 3-sided silage bunkers. We also have a farmhouse, if you will, down here at the BGA. We have our biomass heating plant that is set up as production. It is going to generate energy, be an income source. Here we have the ability to buy liquid fertilizer and herbicide. Some more production items. We're going to get to these during the drive around portion. We have more buyable areas for production there and here. One of the 2 fueling points on the map, the Shell Station. And as I mentioned at the intro, these are, as of the production of this video, the current prices that are available in the area. And Charlie's Equipment Repair. You're not only going to be able to come down here and make some repairs on your machinery, well, this is where you're going to find that old rusty Chevrolet pickup truck. So if you are in an extreme pinch, well, you can make use of this pickup truck right there and use that instead. I mean, imagine a start from scratch, a rags to riches gameplay where all you have is that old rusty pickup truck and you work your way up to owning the entirety of the map. Now, another very interesting feature that is available here on Farming of the Emerald Coast is down here in the floodplain, you're going to find some abandoned fields. So like this field right here, it is in essence abandoned. If we look at the PDA, you're going to find that it does not have a field number associated with it. So here we are. There is no field number associated, but it is viable farmland in Farmland 38. $194,000 specifically is going to be able to buy us this farmland. If we buy this farmland, we can plow it up, use create fields, and make a field out of it. We're going to be able to come through here, and I demonstrated this in a pre-release live stream. See, we've got a little bit of a low area here. We have some water. Well, we can level this ground out, and once we level the ground out, we can paint this ground to get rid of the water, and now we have a perfectly viable field. Might have a little bit of trees we need to clear out of the way. Just north of that, we have the BGA area. No, sorry, not the BGA area. This is the compost compaction area. I don't know why I said the BGA area, other than these bunkers look like the bunkers over at the BGA. But they are set up to only work with pre-compost. They do not work with anything else. If you buy this land, you can delete these bunkers if you wanted to. And you can also go in here into build mode and put additional pre-compost silage bunkers down. You will need to pay attention as to which bunker you put down. This one is silo compost, and this one is just silo. So this is going to work to make silage. This is going to work to make compost. And something else. I want to show you a nice little neat little feature of this map. All of the buyable properties have these Remax or Century 21 signs posted. Once you buy the land, you can walk up to this and left click and remove the sign. Basically let everyone know, nope, this property has been bought. Now, if you ever should wish to sell the property, you can come back, you can put the sign back up, and then sell the property, and everyone will know, well, this property is available for sale because the real estate sign is posted back up. So, cool little feature that is available. Be sure to put the sign back up before you sell the property, because if you don't, you will not be able to put it back up after you sell the property. This is kind of a swamp area, and you can see the water plane here. This is the water plane that will flood the lower portion of this map when it rains. Okay, so as it starts to rain, this water plane will slowly start to rise, and as it rises, more and more land will come underwater. As I mentioned in the intro, it will not ultimately damage your crops in any way. It won't cause crop failures or anything, but it will visually be very noticeable until it stops raining, and then after a little bit of time, the water will recede. Over to our right is where we start on the map. In fact, our pickup truck is still down there. And the old barn. Be very careful with this map with respect to the map borders. I have no doubts that some of you are going to run straight into those red X's without really realizing that you're driving straight into the border of the map. Directly in front of us, we have the compost maker. This is going to take various compostable products and convert them into pre-compost with the addition of requiring diesel fuel. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at the custom production that is available on the map. We have 3 stave silos. They're going to take corn or hay and convert into silage. Those are going to be available at 2 different farms that we have not yet gotten to. Here we have the compost master. It is going to take straw, grass, hay, chaff, sugar beets, potato, or sugarcane, in addition to diesel and water, and convert that into pre-compost. We're going to take that pre-compost over to the compost bunkers, which we have already just seen. Put that in there, compact it just like silage, blanket it up. Then after it's had a chance to cook for a little bit, it is going to be compost, at which we can either sell in bulk or bag and get a bit more profits. We have our BGA, then we have our biomass heating plant, and then we have the grain dryer. The grain dryer is going to take corn and soybeans in addition to propane, and it's going to make dry corn or dry soybeans. Now, of the other production that is available on the map, it is fairly standard, so I have not gone ahead and bought that, but just note that you could buy that as well. Here we have another kind of abandoned field that we can buy, do a little bit of restoration work, and make use of it. We can buy this grass area down here, clear it of land if we want. Same with respect to this area. It again is kind of an abandoned field. There are a few structured forestry areas placed down here in the southern parts of the map. They can be found there with very structured tree placements for ease of doing forestry, but there is a benefit in making use of the large forest up in the northeast corner. Now, while we didn't go up there necessarily, you will find that if you buy the land up there, in fact, if you specifically buy farmland ID 58, not 1. You buy farmland 58 for $103,000. Well, you're going to buy a shed, and within that shed, you're going to find a John Deere 843L and a John Deere 848L. So we have the forwarder and a tree harvester, again, part of the Platinum expansion that is available for your use. But the only way you're going to get into the shed is if you buy that particular plot of farmland. I mentioned the pig farm earlier. Below we have the pig farm and the pig pasture. Again, everything pre-placed can be sold, or you can make use of it however you should so wish. Remember I mentioned that we had rental properties. How do you know the difference between a buy property that could be a farmhouse and a rental property? That one says Century 21. This one says rental income. So if I buy the property to my right, I can make use of it as a farmhouse. If I buy the property to my left, it becomes rental income. So farmhouse, $85,000. A rental property, $121,000. And now that I have bought a house, right, I can get rid of that. Yes, I own it. Now that I have bought the rental property, I can get rid of the sign. But you know what? I might just want to leave the sign up, because I want to make sure I know where my rental properties are. And this guy, he's got himself kind of a hopped up screaming chicken. Hot dog. Coming up here, we have one of the two large pre-placed farms available on the map. Now, this map has been ideally made for multiplayer. Now, you can do single player on this map if you want, but on multiplayer, right, there are a plethora of farm options here. So we've got one farm here. All of these silos are completely usable. And here we have the fermenting silo. We have a large cow area, right, just north of that. Farmland 95. Viable for $693,000. Just to the north of that cow area, we have a other large farm area that is pre-built. And this farm area actually includes a little bit of farm debris that you can sell as well. And then once you sell everything here on the farm, the only thing you're left with are the trees. And of course, you come here, you clear the trees out if you want to, and then you have yourself a nice area that can be used for however you want. Got a large cow area here with feeding robot. Now, I would swing over there to the horse area, but before I do that, I want to come over here to the Bachelor's Club. So here at the lake, there are some buyable properties. There is some lots that we can buy and put down our own kind of lake house. This is kind of the posh lake house I think everyone strives to own at some point, with quite an interesting bedroom suite. I don't know if you can see in there well or not. Fade away over here to the northeast corner of the map. This is where we are going to find then the horse farm. We're going to find the old abandoned farm that I spoke of earlier. So the horse area is down below. We have some more rental properties, some more farmhouses that we could buy up here. And then tucked away in the woods, we're going to find the abandoned farm. The farmhouse associated with the abandoned farm is this little small kind of mini house. So this abandoned farm has some trash, has some debris. We can pretty much sell everything here, but these are usable. So if you do own this, you can use the silos, and you can also use the shed here. Make our way to the north so you get a kind of a general feel for how the land is here to the north, where you can create your own farmland, Maybe level it out a little bit, further expand the industrial operation of the town. Now this map includes a ton of trees. If you have aspirations of planting more trees, you're definitely going to need the more trees mod, because this map is way over the tree limit. If you don't use the more trees mod, there is going to be no way you're going to be able to plant any trees until you clear out probably at least 3/4 of the forest that you see directly in front of you. Sawmill is located here north of town, down below. And let's go ahead and just kind of circle back to the dealership. And while we are at the dealership, I want to show you a couple little treats that you're going to find. Treat number 1 and 2 are going to be located in the shed back here behind the dealership. We've got an M7 and a Vermeer round baler. These are owned by the dealership, and they are yours to operate if you wish. The dealership also has a couple John Deere tractors that we can make use of, in addition to the stuff that's over at the contractor yard. We're going to find those tractors got over here where all of this machinery is lined up. If you are so inclined, you can make use of this 9570 RT, or you're going to be able to make use of this 8R right there with duals. Inside, we have our dealer trigger. And then the maintenance shop is over here. And the maintenance shop actually has multiple dealer triggers. We have one right here. And then there's one right there. Inside here, we have a nice kind of waiting area while you wait for your John Deere to be fixed. And the gifts keep on giving, because over here we have another John Deere tractor that we can make use of with the front loader arms and forks. And a little bit of history. There you have Mr. John Deere himself. And that is pretty much the dealer. Now, vehicles are going to spawn here around the back. Kind of where we landed and where you're going to find the Kubota. Now, there is a lot going on in town here. So you may find that your frame rates suffer a little bit in town, because there is a whole lot of detail going on. Just down here at the shop, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. We're going to spend a little bit of time right across the street from the shop. We have our propane buy point. Now, I will leave some links in the description to some suggested mods for the use of propane and anhydrous. We have our other fuel here. We don't want to turn down the wrong road. That is a residential road. Here at the U-Haul facility, we have a Kubota side-by-side that we could make use of. There you go. And around the back and front and side of the U-Haul facility, well, there's some trailers that we can rent. Got a couple flatbed trailers here around back we can make use of. Got another flatbed trailer here around the side. And we have 2 box trailers that we can also make use of. We have our sugar mill, fairly standard sugar mill. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to try to just kind of skip through some of the trigger areas. Here we have our milk bottler. So we have our interactive icon for the milk bottler. We have our dump point, and then we have our milk bottle spawn point here along the side. Here we have our dairy for our traditional dairy operations. And then we have some kind of buyable areas here to further expand on the industrial zone of the town. We make our way up here. This should be where the sawmill is found. Just look at that massive forest over there to the right. Now, Emerald Coast has been around for a long time, and there have been lots of folks that have claimed that they were going to take on the challenge of clearing the large forest in the northwest part of the map. And to date, I don't think a single person has succeeded. So will you be the one that will succeed at that particular challenge? So here we have our sawmill, and the sawmill is set up not only to make planks, but it's also going to be set up to make other items that are associated with the Platinum expansion. We have our wood cell trigger, we have our wood drop-off point. We have our interactive icon here. Just go ahead and buy the facility for $150,000. And you're going to see that this particular facility has the ability, as I said, not only to make planks, but we're also going to be able to make wooden prefab walls, wood beams, and long planks. We have our wood chip point. Then on this side of the building, you're going to have all of the various spawn triggers for your production items. Now, since this map is engineered for multiplayer, we did a fair amount of pre-testing on this map using a multiplayer server. And that is why the download is separated up into 3 specific files. You have your map, you have your mod add-on pack, and then you have your enhanced critters mod. So the add-on pack, if it is included with the map would be too large to be uploaded to most traditional multiplayer servers. And that's why the mod pack has been pulled out and added as a separate item, so that the map and the mod pack itself are smaller than the maximum upload limit. Over here we have a sell point around front at the down home market. And then around the back, this is where we are going to find our compost bagging facility. Add compost to the right, our dump point and our interactive icon to the left. We have our grocery store. And the grocery store is going to have sell point around the back. We also have our firehouse. Firehouse has a buy point here around the back. This is where we're going to buy road salt. And then right here between these two shrubbery rows, we have a little dirt road. This is going to take us up and around the back to those 3 large greenhouses and a shed. So we have the 3 greenhouses and the shed that we can buy and make use of. And I'm going to just double back to the other side of town at this point. So we have our U-Haul facility. We have our gas station, our propane, and our vehicle dealer to the left. Here we have a facility where we can buy bulk products. So we can buy bulk seed from here. We're going to be able to buy bulk solid fertilizer from within here. And then on the other side of the building, we're going to be able to buy... So that was bulk lime. So this is bulk fertilizer. Okay. CCS 101 is known for his Dollar Generals, so that is kind of a signature of his maps. So we have Dollar General. We have our bakery. We have an empty plot here we can buy and put additional production down. This is our contractor facility with all of their machinery in it that we get at the start. And here we have Emerald Shores Feed. This is a sell point, as well as a buy point. And if you are going to sell here, remember to lift the lid. Now, as far as what you can buy here, this is going to be where you can buy bulk pig food. And you also have, the gifts don't stop, they keep coming, because this semi is not just decorative, it is totally functional. Make our way pretty close to being done as far as out of town. I mentioned when we started the flyover that we had a pallet warehouse That can be found basically right beside our contractor yard. And if we own this, we are going to be able to basically store all types of pallets and other goods in here. Remember, you have to own it before you can go into it. So we have lots of loading doors. And then areas to store pallets. Remember how I said the gifts just keep on giving? Well, behind that pallet warehouse, we have a spinnery. So we have the base game spinner. You have our dump point, our pallet spawn point, our interactive icon around the side. We have the water tower. And would you happen to know that somebody left 4 totally usable bales of cotton? Not hay, bales of cotton. Modules of cotton, to be specific. And they are totally yours and totally free to use. Yeah. So right there, you got 4 modules of cotton you can put right here at the spinnery and add to your money. It just keeps getting better now, doesn't it? This is going to be a fairly long tour, so anybody need to kind of stop off at the Southern Buffet, just let me know. You can pause the video, head on in there and get yourself some nutrition. Then we have a really cool visitor center. I don't know why I think this is neat, but it's just a really cool area to set up with a playground. Got lots of tables to sit at, some arcade games and whatnot. And we have a little bit of, I think you're going to find a little bit of Emerald Coast history in here as well. Look, there's the PDA of the Emerald Coast from FS 17 and 19. Before we double back and drive over to the abandoned farm and the horse area to take a closer look at those, I do want to pull into this farm area. This is an AI-owned farm. It is not a viable player farm. But it is going to be worth looking around at. You know what I'm talking about. And we have some animated chickens down here. Just chilling out. And I believe if you come by and check this area out at various times of the year, the guy that owns this farm, well, he's working on a project over here at the well. And you might see some progress throughout the year of his work. Continue up Route 4. Florida Route 4. As I said, areas north of town are the hillier areas. Emerald Coast in FS 17 and 19 were fairly flat. But that is not the case here in 22. Now, something you're going to notice. The initial release of this map does not include traffic. while this map was mostly designed for the use of multiplayer, and lots of times multiplayer servers disable traffic to begin with, there is a chance that people will want to play with traffic in either multiplayer or single player, but there was a problem that ultimately did delay the release of this map a fair bit, as CCS 101 was trying to work through fixing some issues that were related to traffic. Ultimately, he has decided to go ahead and release the map and get it out to everyone with traffic turned off. But do note that traffic will come back in a future update once he figures out some of the issues that is affecting this map. Basically, it was crashing after about 3 or 4 minutes of gameplay if you had traffic enabled. So down here at the horse farm, again, all of these buildings are sellable. We have a diesel tank. We have our horse area itself. So we have our feed trough. Horse area where we can have 10 horses. I believe that barn is usable. In fact, both of those barns might be usable. And around the back, we're just going to drive the grass here. We have a water trigger. We have a farm silo. And a storage barn. Bi-level storage barn. Alright, so you can make use of the top or the bottom. And now we'll find the way we should have come back here on. Now, I don't know if we're going to have a chance to see the trains that are on this map or not, but man, they are great. One thing that I really wish we would see more of with respect to the trains is the fact that that they're just short in Farm Sim, and not on this map. These trains are quite long. Here we have our drive entrance. It's going to take us back to the abandoned farm. Remember, each of these farms are not connected to farmhouses, but right beside the farm land, we do have viable farm houses. Everything here can be sold. It is all functional as is. If you kind of want to get started and work your way up in earning money and replacing buildings and silos, clearing the land, clearing the trash, the debris, the trees, the dead trees, and such. Now let's talk about scoring on the map. We already mentioned that there are 23 production items pre-built into the map, so we are going to give the map a full point there with respect to production items being built in. We're also going to be giving the map a full point with respect to the ability to sell all of our base game crops, production items, and animal outputs. The ability to sell the platinum expansion stuff is a bonus, but it does not go into factoring the point value here. In fact, the only thing that the sell point ability of the platinum expansion is going to bring you is the fact that we can indeed do that. So I have put the platinum expansion Farm Sim logo on the thumbnail. All of the farms that we're taking a look at today on this map can be customized in their entirety. They are all pre-built in all play modes. CCS 101 is the map author, and he feels that is actually the most realistic form of play, because at this point you're likely going to be buying in real life a pre-established farm if you were to just go out and buy a farm. And as such, after you buy that farm, you will then have the ability to kind of change it up as you wanted. There may be buildings you want to clear out, but there may also be buildings you want to keep around. This map has the added feature of rental properties. We've already demonstrated that in the fly around portion. Certain real estate signs associated with bio properties will have the language rental property. And if you buy that, you will get money per month as residual revenue. I'm going to make my way back towards town, and then we're going to turn south and make our way down to the first large kind of arable farm area that includes a large cow pasture on the other side of the street. Whoa, we got deer. Oh, we got hit. We got hit by a deer. This map does include anhydrous ammonia. I mentioned that already. I will have links to some anhydrous ammonia mods down in the description. If you wish to use anhydrous as fertilizer, you want to make use of those mods in order to do so. In addition, you're going to want to make use of the anhydrous ammonia add-on mod that is available over the Giants Mod Hub. Also linked down in the description, because that is going to make the changes to precision farming if you are also using precision farming. Here we have one of those viable farmhouses that are kind of removed from the farm, but are also included with the farm adjacent to it. All of the farmhouses, as I have said, are enterable, and therefore you have to go inside in order to sleep. Across the street from the farm, and separate, is this cow pasture. This cow pasture has been configured to hold 300 cows. It is the one with the auto feeding robot. We have our milk trigger. If you're going to be feeding the cows manually, you have your feed trough in here as well as your straw trigger. And then with respect to the feeding robot, first you're going to put your mineral feed on the side, your silage, hay, straw, and grass around the front. Then we have the farm itself. This is kind of the tale of two farms, the way I see it. We have kind of the modern farm here, and that's what we're looking at right now. We have more modern buildings. We have gravel down. You know, everything looks nice. We have a fuel point. And then we progress over to maybe the older farm. And we have dirt. We have older buildings. Maybe a little bit more overgrown. Individual silos for grain storage. We have two fermenting silos here. So we have our output pipes. We have our interactive icons. We have our input pipes. Right there. Bale storage, implement storage, whatever you want to call it, storage, trash, junk, all of it, again, can be sold. Now we'll make our way down to the next farm, which is just down the road. Another very large arable farm slash cow farm, because it does have a large cow pasture next to it. The anhydrous ammonia point is over here to our right, as well as a large grain cell point. So we have our anhydrous. We also have our grain, deep south grain mill. And if you're going to sell here, be sure to lift up the lid. All you got to do is click when you're on top of that. Follow the signs to get out of here. And then here we have the farmhouse and garage that is somewhat associated with the farm that is directly behind it and to the side of it. Of course. I was going to take a little shortcut, but no, it's going to have a collision on it because that would be realistic. It's okay, we'll just head up the road with a proper entrance. And to the left, we have our cow area. 200 cows in here. We have our food trough. We have our water trough. And then inside of here, we have a farm. All usable buildings. We have another fermenting silo. This kind of wraps around the farmhouse. We have some grain bins. All are usable. All ready to go. Now we're going to take a turn to the right and take a quick jog over to the western edge of the map. And down here we're going to find our animal dealer, as well as buy points for slurry and manure. In addition, across the other edge of this road is going to be the arable farm that is pre-placed. So here we have our animal dealer. We're a buy trigger for animals. For our cows, we have a bale sell point. Just before you get to the animal dealer, there was a road that I missed. And that road is over there to a house, a residential area. Well, on this side, we have then a buy point for slurry and manure. So if you want to get going with pre-compost, you can buy your manure from here, buy your fuel, get your water, and you're off to the races. We have our carpentry shop. As far as our production points, and when it floods up to about that point. I think the animal dealer is just north of the floodplain. There we have the pre-placed arable farm. With our fuel tanks. Large industrial sheds. Giant grain silo complex. And this grain silo complex is set up to hold a massive amount of grain. 1.6 million liters worth of grain. And that is been kind of calculated out based on the volumes of the tanks. So again, it is as realistic a volume as can possibly be calculated. Making our way down to our grain dryer. We're going to bring propane and corn or soybeans into our grain dryer complex and make dried corn and dried soybeans. We have our dump and fill point, so that's our propane point. The facility also has 2 usable bins associated with it. And then behind this area, we have a viable area that could be a small kind of starting farm. We have a farmhouse silo that we can go into. We wanted to with our sleep trigger. Then we have a usable silo right there. All of these silos are going to require the use of an auger to fill, and some will require an auger to empty. Continue making your way down the western edge of the map. You see off in the distance we have some production points. We have our BGA. The big shed off in the distance to the right, that is a sell point. We've got some pretty nice sizable fields over here. So we have our oil mill, our grape processing facility. Let's just squeak around here. We have our grain mill. Then behind the grain mill, we have a buy point for bulk herbicide and fertilizer. Herbicide, H. Fertilizer, F. Okay? A little bit of a buildable plot. Buy that, clean it up a little bit, put some more production down. We have our Shell fuel station we already saw and talked about, as well as Charlie's equipment and repair. We have a grain sell point here. And then on the other side of the railroad tracks, we have another grain sell point. These lights will come up and the arms will drop. We have another buildable land here to our left. Grain dump point. Uh-oh. Oh, there's a train. There's a train. Kind of shocked me. Kind of surprised me. Gotta be careful. Now, what we don't know is if this is the long train or is this the short train. That's the short train. Sorry if the train horn caught you off guard there. Kind of caught me off guard. Behind the grain sell point, we then have our stone crusher that's been set up to crush stone into a railroad car. And we have a sell point right here. And then this sell point is for bagged compost only. And you're going to get some pretty good money for selling bagged compost. But you will have to place it on a platform. These warehouse workers, they are lazy and they only take compost that is placed on the platform. But they do pay good money. We have a biomass heating plant that is going to take straw and wood chips and convert that into energy. Then we have our BGA. And as I mentioned, everything at the BGA can be sold if we wish to. And then you can build out your own biogas plant. Now, with respect to our scoring, buildings where appropriate are using the new texturing technique. I'm going to be giving the map a full point there as well. The vast majority of the buildings here on the farm, or on the map, I should say, are indeed using the new building techniques, as well as the bounty of ground textures and other such things. Now, I'm going to make my way across kind of toward the middle of the map by taking this crossroad just north of field 40. And coming up to our left by field number 43, just north of one of the unnumbered abandoned fields, we have the pre-compost compaction bunkers. This is where we're going to bring pre-compost, pile it up, run over it just like we would silage, blanket it once it's at 100%, and make ourselves some good black gold in compost. If you don't want to do pre-compost and compost, you can sell these. You can sell the shed, you can sell the solar panels, and then you have another kind of little viable plot down here, or buildable plot. Now when we get to the swampy crossroads, I'm going to make a left. We're going to head up to the chicken area where we have the 3 chicken coops. Now over off to the west, I just realized there is a house with those 2 small greenhouses. I did not show you that when we were driving past it, so I'm not going to drive back over there, but I am going to show you here in a moment where that is on the PDA. So here we have the chicken area. The usable garage. And the 3 chicken coops. These are all identical. So you have your food. You have your egg spawn point. And then your chicken area. 50 chickens per coop. 1, 2, and 3. If you do want to make this your farmhouse area, then we have the farmhouse also. Located right there. Now, with respect to the house that has the 2 greenhouses, it's going to be located over here. And they are going to be right here at Farmland ID 137, viable for $179,000. There you have your 2 small greenhouses. Now we're going to need to double back a little bit in order to get to the pig farm. While this is a 4X map, it can sometimes feel as if it is even bigger than that based on how the road network is laid out. There is very often only one way to get to someplace, and often it's going to require you to kind of double back, right? You're going to have to go halfway up the map in order to then get to a crossroad to make your way across the entire map to then possibly go back the other direction, south, in order to get to your final destination. Well, let us know for you all what you all think of the rental properties aspect of this map. Where you can buy certain properties for relatively low income and get some nice residual income per month. Also, what do you think of the buyable or of the retail signs? The signs that you can clear and put back after you have purchased a property, or if you are going to sell it again. Other aspects of this map are, like, let's say, the separation of the farms from the farmhouses. So you could buy various farms and have your farmhouse somewhere completely separate of that farmland. This is going to be the road we're going to take in order to get to the pig farm. Kind of like the pig farm. It's a much smaller layout. I feel like if you're going to be playing with maybe a smaller machinery, this would be maybe the farm that you would select to start out with. Unless you start with the abandoned farm, kind of to the northeast. So we have fuel, we have 3 silos, a little bale shed back there for straw, some machinery, storage. The actual pig area itself is separate from the farm. 80 pigs can be placed here. Then we have our food. And our slurry point is obviously going to be around the side there. This road is going to further take us up to some more fields that are beyond this forest. It's on our right. And now our final point of interest is going to be the composting facility. We're going to have to double back to the road. And from there, we're going to make our way south once more. Kind of toward where we all started with our gameplay here. So again, this map is not for everyone. This map is going to be heavy on textures, and you may have to adjust your graphic settings to get good, consistent frame rates. Be careful with how much machinery you buy at the farm or have kind of on your screen at any one point in time. In addition, in the testing of the map, I did notice that the amount of visual memory in use is fairly high for a farm sim map. While we did not approach 8 gigabytes or go over 8 gigabytes, this map was routinely well over 4 gigabytes. So if you are playing with a GPU that has just 4 gigabytes of graphic memory, you may also suffer some pretty significant performance issues as a result. Here we have our final production item, or final point of interest on our drive around. Again, the composting facility. We're going to bring our various inputs up here. We have our interactive icon. We have our water and fuel point. And then we have our output for our pre-compost, which we're then going to take over to the compaction facility and convert into regular compost. If you own this, you do have the ability to make use of this shed. And once again, if you own this, you can sell it as well. So guys, that's going to leave our final scoring metric. Player and interactive areas being clearly marked. I feel that they are all clearly marked, and therefore we are going to give the map another full point. So as you have seen from the thumbnail, and as you have heard during the video, this map is going to get a 5 out of 5 with respect to our scoring metric. I'd love to know what you all think down in the comments below of farming on the Emerald Coast. For FS22, this is a 4X map, as so it is PC only, and it is going to be available for download down in the description at the link below. Until next time, happy farming.